Hey friends, welcome to my channel. Let's get crafting. I picked up this wood decor piece from the Dollar Tree and it's so cute. It's meant to be a pumpkin, but I realized this shape is very similar to an apple as well. So what we're going to do is this is going to be a 2-for-1 project where one side is an apple and then the other side is going to be a pumpkin. Now on the apple side, we're going to customize it and we're going to put a teacher's name on it. I thought this would be so cute to give as a gift. And these home decor pieces that they have at the Dollar Tree, there's tons of them, and I haven't been seeing people picking them up because I think people just don't really know what to do with these things. But how cute could this be to be able to hold pens or pencils inside of it, or highlighters for a teacher? You could even put some florals inside of it, but I just thought it would be so cute to customize this as a nameplate for a teacher. So on the back side, where the pumpkin is, I guess it's actually supposed to be the front side, we are going to go ahead and distress in a couple different tints of orange because I thought this would be really pretty and bring it to life. And then on the other side and the box inside, I painted the whole thing completely red. Then I'm going to take a little bit of black, some brown, and some water and create a stain because I thought this would be really pretty to do a dark wood color on this. And we're going to just simply go over the base. I was really cautious trying not to get any paint onto that piece so that the stain would take nicely. And then we're going to also paint the stems of the pumpkin and apple, making sure that those are nice and colored and cute. Then once you've got that all done and everything is dried, you are then at this point going to go ahead and get out that pencil so we can sketch on a name. Now I'm going to be actually doing my sister's name. She is a secretary at a high school for one of the grades, and I thought this would be so cute for her to put on her table. So we're going to go ahead and just write on her name. First I traced it out with a pencil, making sure I liked how the font looked, and now I'm going to go back in with a very small fine tip brush and I'm going to just simply paint on with the paint some white paint. Take your time on this part. I love hand painting letters. I've said it before here on my channel plenty of times. I think you all know if you're returning that I just love doing these types of projects because it's so therapeutic to me to paint letters. I don't know why, but it's almost like I slow down my breathing and I'm just really focused and still. And there's something about that just makes me feel so calm, especially right now with everyone's anxieties so rised and high. I definitely am at that place right now in my life. So I was enjoying hand painting all that on, and then once that was dry, I'm going to go ahead and take some of the hula skirt grass that I had left over from the summertime, and I made some darling little raffia bows. And then I'm going to just add on some leaves. Now you'll see a little bit later in this video, I didn't have green fabric and I wanted to create some leaves, so I painted some canvas type drop cloth fabric green, and I'm just gluing these on after it had dried, and I cut them into leaf shapes. Then when you're all done, go ahead and display. Today is the DIY challenge and the theme is back to school fall time. I love hosting this challenge monthly. My next challenge is going to be on September 11th and the theme is going to be Halloween fall time. These are the rules to play along if you are interested. I highly recommend it, especially if you're new here on YouTube and you're just trying to be seen. These challenges are such a fun way to get to know other crafters and get yourself out there to be seen, because it can be so hard to be seen here on YouTube. It's one of the reasons why I host this challenge monthly, to encourage you all that if you're thinking about starting a channel, this is a great place to start, and I'm always happy to help you all figure out how to get linked onto the playlist, because that can be kind of tricky too. For our next project, we're going to be taking one of these cutting mats from the Dollar Tree. I think these mats are so versatile. I love them so much. So we're going to be using one of them and a piece of paper. I took a piece from a book that I'm always pulling apart, using it to paint on these pages. I glue them all together. You'll see them in a little bit where I glued a bunch together. But for this time, I'm going to take a piece piece of this book paper, I'm going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to sketch out a half of an apple. And take your time on this one. You can even print up some type of an apple shape where it's a silhouette of an apple, and then you're just going to cut that out, and we're going to do it where it's, like I said, the half of the apple, so that way it's perfect on both sides. Then once you've got that cut out, you're going to go ahead and with a Sharpie marker, and you're going to trace on 6 of these onto your cutting mat, and then you're going to simply cut them all out. Now the reason why we're going to need 6 of these is because we are going to turn this into one of those kind of apples or pumpkins that you will see. A lot of times people make them in books where they take the 2 ends of the books and they bring them together and it turns into this 3D shaped apple. Well, I had this idea that we could do it with the cutting mats where we could make a 3D type apple by taking these apple shapes and folding them in half and then bringing the sides together to create that 3D shape. And so here I am, I've got them all folded in half, and I'm going to take my stapler and I'm going to simply just staple 2 of the sides together, and then I'm going to open that back up, go to the one that hasn't had anything stapled to, and I just keep adding them on. So you see here, I'm flattening it down, and then I'm going to get the next one and staple that in, and then flattening it down, and then add in the next one. So that way the sides are all butted up next to each other as I keep adding in a new apple piece. So that way it has a nice 3D effect. Now keep in mind, as you get closer to the end, it's going to be harder to staple that because it just gets a little bit thicker and stronger as you go. So just keep taking your time with your stapler and making sure that you get it nice and secure. And if it doesn't, if it wants to come apart, you can pull the staple out and then staple again until you get a nice good staple. Then I took it outside and I spray painted the whole thing white. I wish that I had red spray paint on hand, but I didn't. But I went ahead and spray painted it white and then went back in with an acrylic paint and then painted it red then. But if you have a red spray paint on hand, even better. Then I'm going to take one of these little tree logs that you can see, or these little branch cuts that you can get at the Dollar Tree. They have a little bag of these. They're so darling, and they're in the floral section. And then I just tied some raffia around it. I added in some of those leaves. I forgot to mention too, I put down the little stem of my apple with some E6000 and some hot glue just to make sure it really stayed on there nice and strong. And then I'm going to add in some greenery that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. I love pulling off all these little bits and pieces because when you add them all together, they just make it look so much more store-bought. So I've got some leaves, some berries on it, and then I even have some of the little wheat pieces and some raffia and some leaves. I love that when they look all clustered together. Then once you're all done, you're ready to display it on a table and just have fun with it. If you didn't know, I'm over on Instagram and I host a weekly challenge over there with my friend Shayna. She and I together knew that a lot of people did not have YouTube accounts but are crafters and want to share your projects and want a place of your own to share things without the frustrations of trying to figure out how to edit a video and get it up on YouTube. So what we're doing is once a week on Wednesday, we do something called the Dollar Tree DIY Tour, where you can post an image of your projects, 1 to 10 photos, and then we have a write-up that you can get in our private chat groups. And in order to get a part of the chat groups, you're going to have to message me or Shayna, and she and I will add you to the private chat group. So once a week we will have a hashtag and a write-up that is specifically for that week's tour. You're going to copy it and paste that write-up inside the text of your post. It's really simple to do. Once you've got it all set up, everybody goes live on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it is such a fun tour to take part in, especially if you just want to share your DIYs that you have made. So I hope you come over to Instagram and check it out. It's such a fun challenge. This DIY is going to be using this truck sign that you can pick up at the Dollar Tree. I love this sign, but we're going to take it and turn it into something a little bit different. Since this is a back to school theme, I realized, hey, I could turn this darling little truck into a bus, because the shape is very similar to a bus. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to take some white paint first to try to cover up some of the pattern that is already on it. We want to make sure it has a nice clean look to it. So we're going to just go in with some white paint, a nice coat, and we're just going to go over it really quickly. Now I realized as I was going, wait a second, I think I'm not going to paint the tires or the fender on it, and you're going to see in just a second I'm going to come back in with a wipey, and I'm actually going to wipey off the part where I wanted to make sure that you could still see the bumper, or not the fender, the bumper, because it's on the front. So I'm just going to wipe that off really quick before everything dried, and then let the rest of the white paint completely dry, so that way I didn't have to worry about painting that part. I mean, why do more work for yourself, right? So once that was all cleared off and ready to go and everything was dry, I could then come back in with my colors that I wanted. I'm now going to take a really pretty mustardy yellow that's the color of a bus, and I went along the front part just like you saw there. And now I'm framing out the front window. So I'm going to just take my brush and just gently go along the sides wherever I want there to be some yellow. Once I had framed out all the area where the window was going to be, I came back in with a really light blue color, and I'm just going to take my time making sure my lines are as straight as I possibly can. And then I'm just going to fill the whole thing in with that pretty light blue color. This is going to be the front window of the bus if you can't see it yet, but we're getting along to the part where we're going to start putting on all the details that makes it look like the front of a bus. So go ahead and fill all of that in with blue, and then we're going to take some red paint with a fine tip brush. We're going to create 2 circles up at the top for those lights, and then we're going to make the grill on the front, making it with black. And then we're going to take our fine tip brush again, and we are going to trace out all of the details of the bus. I feel like at this point, this is where it really starts to come to life. So we're going to go around the bumper on the front. We're going to make sure we detail the front of the hood where you can see that the shape comes out right away when you do that line. And then we're going to go in with some white paint to create the 2 big lights on the front of the bus. I just made some really quick circles. And then after you've got those circles on, go ahead and take some gray paint and then create the front mirrors that are on the side. And then with that same gray paint, do some detailed grid lines, and as well as framing out the mirror and adding on some of the details on the lights. Now you can see that I went around in a circle, and then I'm kind of curving my lines versus making them straight to make the light look like it's rounded on those front lights. Then at this point, I'm going to go ahead and take my pencil and I'm going to sketch on the word welcome, because we're going to take this little bus and we're going to put it within a wreath. I thought this would be so cute on a front door for a back to school theme. So we're going to go ahead and just take our time again. Here I am with these letters. I just love hand painting letters so much. They just, like I said, it's so therapeutic to me. And you're going to go ahead and just take your time on it. Write on something that you feel proud about. You can even use your Cricut or Silhouette if you don't feel comfortable handwriting, and then put on the word welcome that way as well. Or you could put your family's name as well. That could be really cute. And then now we're going to take this wood wreath that they have at the Dollar Tree, and we're going to start with a bunch of their florals. All of these florals came from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to just put them all on here. So first I'm going to start with some of the green to fill it in, and then I'm going to come in with this gorgeous new red flower they have. I love the detail on these flowers, how it's a little bit lighter, a little bit darker. I just thought this was so moody and pretty. And then I'm going to make sure as I'm going I have the right placement for my little bus, and I'm going to go ahead and just glue that on. So you can see I added some glue, I'm flipping it over, I'm adding more glue on the bottom side so it's really on there nice and secure, and then I'm going to add in some more florals. Now as I keep adding in these florals, I just wanted to take a second and thank everybody so much for helping my channel get to 100,000 subscribers. I just hit it last week and I can't even believe it. I would not be here without all of you sharing my videos, liking my videos, just supporting me and my family. I cannot express how much it means to me that I just hit this goal. It has been about 2.5, almost 3 years. The beginning of November, 3 years ago, is when I started my channel, and without all of your love and support, I would not be here. So I just wanted to take a second and thank all of you so much for being my friend, for coming back and watching videos, and just, like I said, being my friend. My heart is so full. All right, now at this point we've filled it in, and I think it is so pretty. I love these colors so much. I decided to add in a little bit of white to add in some more detail and really make these fall colors pop on the white and the yellow. And then at this point, we need something to hang it up. And the Dollar Tree right now, they're probably sold out. If they haven't put your fall stuff out yet, you're lucky. Run and go find this burlap. Go and find this gingham, beautiful black and white check ribbon. I think it's so pretty. You better believe I snagged as many of them as I could because they only bring this out around Halloween time. I love this ribbon. So I'm going to go ahead and add a hanger at the top, and then at the bottom I'm going to add on a double looped bow with a long tail and hang it up on my front door. I have one last spotlight to share, which is DIY with Amber. If you have not been to her channel yet, go on over and check her out. She is so darling, and so many of her DIYs are so beautiful and just farmhouse chic. Now, I'm going to link Amber down below in my description box so you can go over and send her some love. Let her know that I sent you. Go and check out her video where she collabed with me. I hope you all enjoy her. Go over and check her out and give her some love. Getting back to my apple theme, I'm going to take these darling little terracotta pots. You know, you can find these all over the place, and I definitely did not pay 99 cents for them. I got them from my thrift store, and I paid about 50 cents for each one because it was a half off day. So I found 2 of these, and I thought, how cute would it be to paint one of them red, the top and the bottom, and then one of them green. Now, earlier I mentioned that I took some of this canvas fabric and I painted it green to create myself some leaves. Here I am, I'm showing myself painting that canvas or drop cloth type fabric, and I'm just going to paint it all green and add in some different shades to make it look like a leaf color, so when I cut them into leaves it'll look really cute. So here are my terracotta pots. When you take the bottom water tray and put it on top, it turns into an apple. I think this is so cute, and you can do it with all different sizes of the terracotta pots. The bottom and the pot always match up really well, almost perfectly, to make it look like an apple. So here I am, I'm going to add on some E6000 and some hot glue onto these little wood logs that you can get from the Dollar Tree. They're in a little bag, and we are going to just glue that right on top of the apple or the terracotta pot lid. And we're going to tie on some raffia that is left over from a grass skirt from the summertime, and we're going to just tie on a bow. Once you've got your 2 bows on, you're going to go ahead and add on some little details that you'd like. You could leave it at this point and just stop, but you know me, I always love to take it a little bit further. So now I'm going to take a leaf and I'm going to sneak it underneath the bow, and I'm going to use a little bit of a yellow, green, red look because I love how it looked on the green terracotta pot. And then I'm going to take that fabric earlier that I painted, cut out a couple of leaves, and I'm going to add that onto my red pot. If you haven't already and you are new to my channel, please do click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss all the new videos that I have coming out this fall and going into Christmas. I have so many fun DIYs that I am going to be sharing here on my channel, and I'm going to be starting back up the Friend Fridays real soon. We are now going to be taking these plain glass jars from the Dollar Tree and we're going to turn them into something really special. I love decorating these jars. I just think it is the easiest way to create some really cute custom decor around your home for any holiday. Now we're going to take them outside and spray paint them all white to make sure that it has a nice jump off point. The spray paint really bonds well to the glass versus the acrylic paint. It'll just come right off. So first I spray painted them all white, and then you saw that I painted one jar completely red on the outside, and then the second jar I'm going to go around about 1/4 of the jar, and I'm going to paint that part a pink color because that's going to be an eraser. And then on the third jar I'm going to take a light blue, and I'm going to go around with my fine tip brush, and I'm going to create lines to make it look like a piece of school paper. So I did about 5 lines on this jar. You can see here that I'm putting one down towards the bottom, making sure that I went all the way around it as straight as I possibly could. Then I'm going to take another fine tip brush, and I'm going to make a red line coming down so that you make it look like a piece of paper. And then we're going to put a grade on it because we want to encourage people around us to get those A+ during the school year. And then once that one is all done, you put it aside and let it dry. Now let's go back to our pencil jar. This one's a little bit trickier because it has more things to paint on it, but I promise it's worth the work. So here I am, I'm putting on this nice tan color, and then once that's dry, I'm going to come back in with my mustard yellow, and I'm going to paint that part around to represent the wood part of the number 2 pencil. And once you've got that all the way painted around and it's nice and smooth, you're then going to go ahead and take a smaller brush and create a wavy line at the top to make it look like where you've sharpened the pencil and it has chipped away at the yellow paint. So just go all the way around making your bumps, and then once you've got that part done and the yellow is all nice and smoothed out, you're then going to take some black paint up at the very top where you would screw on the lid, and you're going to paint that part black. This is going to represent the lead of the pencil. And then down between the pink and the mustard yellow, we're going to take a pretty gray, and we're going to just go around with a fine tip brush to create that metal casing around the eraser that holds it onto the pencil. So at this point, we now can add on our number 2 for our pencil. Just take your time. I really love doing this part. I thought this was so cute and really where it just started to shine and it came to life. So I did my number letters, and then now I'm going to come back in with my 2. I made sure my 2 is the same size as the N. The O is actually a little bit smaller, and then you've got that little dot that's in between them. So now at this point we want to make sure we seal it so that nothing chips off over time. So I'm going to take some Mod Podge, and I'm just going to go over all 3 jars, and once I've got a nice coat on all of them, and I went inside of the lip of the jar just a little bit to make sure it's all sealed on there really well, and then I just put them to the side to dry. Now we're going to take our paper jar, and we're going to put a piece of foam inside, and we are going to start filling this up with all kinds of pretty fall florals from the Dollar Tree. I wanted to take a minute and just say thank you everyone as well for being so supportive if I stepped away for 2 weeks and had to cancel my summer DIY Spotlight series. Many of you know from seeing my community tab that I had a family member fall terribly ill where they almost passed away. It was the scariest experience. It was one of my siblings, and she is doing so much better. She is just so dear to me, and I'm so happy she's doing better. I wanted to thank all of you for the prayers and the love that you sent her way and my family's way while we were waiting through some of the most scariest times of her life. Anyway, thank you all so much for your love and your prayers for her. I just really appreciated it. So once your paper jar was filled with all kinds of pretty florals, then we're going to go back to the apple jar, and we're going to add on some of that grass skirt raffia, and then we're going to add on some of those leaves that we're going to cut out from the fabric, and we're just going to really just give it some personality. I think this jar is just as cute as the other 2. I love that it looks like a little apple. And then after you've got your leaves snugged in there and glued in place, I decided that it just needed something else, and I love buttons. I don't know about all of you, but I think buttons are just the cutest thing to add. So I picked up a little jar of buttons from the Dollar Tree. They're usually at the very front checkout area, and then I'm going to just glue that right onto the bow, and it's ready to go. Leave a comment down below to let me know what you thought of the projects today, if you will try any of them, and which one was your favorite. And until the next episode, bye friends!